We ready to go? Everyone feels good?
Yeah.
We need to grab a drink or anything?
Yeah.
No, I'm feeling good.
It's been 1 week since our last podcast. That one was on Josie and the Pussycats. Weirdly, a lot of parallels to this episode. However, this episode's the start of a new month. We're all really excited. This month is on. I promised last week that there may be a new name, something snappier. I didn't come up with one. So it is still, as of now, the theme of this month is teen movies adapted from classic literature. The more I say it, the more it rolls off the tongue, I guess. So we're talking today about one of those, and we'll get into some other themes as well. But before that, let's start the podcast, which, as you know, I don't know how to do. So it'll either be, I guess we could have done all of 1 week by Bare Naked Ladies, but just the first two lines, or 2 words, really. Or something along the lines of Welcome to Late to the Movies. My name is Ben Hull, and this is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Each week, we'll pick a movie that either I or a guest hadn't seen before and really should have by now. This week, starting the month of teen movies adapted from classic literature, is adapted from William Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew, 10 Things I Hate About You. Your guests. Left to right across your podcast aisle, we got Ray.
Hi.
We got Robbie.
Hola.
And we got Greg.
Hey.
Hey. Yeah. In case it's not clear, you haven't watched the movie in a while, it does start with a strange remix of 1 Week by Bare Naked Ladies. This movie does.
Yes.
Kind
It
of
did
pumped about that.
immediately take me into the 90s. I was like, oh,
Yes.
good. Okay, we're in the 90s.
Yes, that's exactly
It
what I
is.
was going to say.
We were
It
like,
had
whoa.
a very specific font choice as well, and I was like, this is it.
Yep.
It's 1999. We're in Seattle. We see the Space Needle.
Yeah. It's like, this is as close to a time machine as I get. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
generations
It was
have
so
just changed.
90s.
So
This-
90s.
Everything about this movie was so 90s.
Yes.
Very 90s. Except the parts where they're just saying Shakespeare lines, I guess. But
We're doing that in the 90s.
in the
all
text
time,
of the
too.
movie, it's just because they're weird. The kids who are
Yes.
doing it are like nerds, which I like. Before we get into the movie, though, have you guys watched anything good recently? We recorded not that long ago, but you could
So
watch something.
last time we recorded, I think Ray mentioned that she rewatched Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Mhm.
So I rewatched Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and it's still good.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Everything I said last time.
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed. All those same things.
Yeah.
Puppets.
I watched Barry recently, and I'm rewatching It's Always Sunny because
Nice.
why not?
Yeah, so Glenn Howerton just starred in a movie about BlackBerry called Blackberry.
Okay.
And apparently it's pretty good. It's one of the few brand tie-in movies that are coming out right now that seems actually interesting because it's about something that failed.
Mm.
And apparently Glenn Howerton's really good at it.
Cool. I really like him, so.
Mm. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I think it just played at the Columbus, actually, but it hasn't played at like the multiplexes around here.
I've been meaning to see Charlie Day's movie, too. I forgot what it was called. It's like,
Yeah, I don't remember either. He's wearing a hat on the poster.
yeah, it's something about like a marriage or something. I heard it got good reviews, though. You're making a face.
I don't know a ton about it.
Okay. I'll check it out and report back.
Okay, cool. Yeah. What did I do? I don't know.
Scooby-Doo. We've been watching Scooby-Doo.
Oh, nice. I
Scooby-Doo.
did watch something. Sorry, I just remembered.
What is it?
Yeah, so I did watch something. I watched Kiyoshi Kurosawa's movie Cure from 1997. It's you'll like this. You can interpret it to be about big therapy, actually.
It definitely is.
But it's like some people consider it a horror movie just because it's like so unsettling, but it's technically the actual action of the movie is a police procedural thriller, kind of like Seven, but then it kind of gets into a sort of not even surreal, but not exactly based in reality place by the end of the movie. And it's about this cop who's trying to not necessarily solve a spate of murders because he knows exactly who did each of these murders, but there's all these different people who are committing like these really messed up killings in the same fashion in Tokyo and are found right next to the scene of the crime in each case without any memory of doing it. And then they eventually encounter this amnesiac who the cop becomes convinced is mesmerizing or hypnotizing all these people into doing these horrific things. And it goes places from there. Super good.
Sounds cool.
Highly recommend. It's not like a fun movie, but we've been doing a lot of popcorn stuff lately, so maybe we'll get into like the bleakest recesses of the soul next month. I don't know. That's what July is good for, right?
Yeah.
That's a more catchy name.
The bleakest recesses of the soul month.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty
better
good.
than teen movies adapted from.
I know. I was trying to come up with something for that. I'm like, I don't know. We've got like adolescent adaptations or like, I don't know. I'm getting there. I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah, maybe adolescent adaptations. So each month I'm thinking of a question to ask on each of the episodes to sort of tie everything together. I do have a good one for this month, but maybe an even better one is, what do you think a better title for the theme would be?
I'm gonna veto adolescent adaptations. I'm immediately picturing like teens with like lizard tails or something. It's like this weird genetic kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like experiments.
All right. Well, that's the seeds of what I've got. So you can take that.
It's
and
a little
make something.
sci-fi.
Make something
Right?
up.
It's sci-fi. It's adolescent adaptations. This sci-fi movie where these teenagers like are like working in a lab to give themselves these weird evolutionary based powers, like
Hell yeah.
lizard skin and extra arms and stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah. Until we come up with a better name, it's still teen movies adapted from classic lit, such as this week's episode, like we said, 10 Things I Hate About You from Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew. And just because it's the first one, I'll go through. And we're definitely doing Clueless and She's the Man after this. If you
And
wanna
10 Things I
watch
Hate
it.
About You.
Yeah, it's a good transition. Who wants to give us a 1-minute plot summary about 10 Things I Hate About You?
Okay, so this Cameron, he's new to the school. He sees a girl once who he thinks is hot, and he's like, I gotta bang this chick. And she can't date though, unless or something. And then her dad is really concerned with her sex life and what's going on with her impregnation. And then he tells her that she can date if her sister dates, but no one likes her sister. So then they pay Heath Ledger money to take her sister out on a date, and he's like, he smokes cigarettes and stuff, but he's good at wood shop. And he decides to try to get her to go out with him, and the other guy, Cameron, is like trying to lay some groundwork with that girl, but she doesn't like him. And then I don't know. They figure out what she likes by breaking into her room, and then he just kind of tries to be who she wants him to be, and then they fall for each other, and then she finds out that he was being paid to date her, and then she writes a little poem about how much she hates him, but she doesn't hate him, and then he makes up for it by buying her things, and they're in love. The end.
That was beautiful.
Yeah,
I think
you really captured the spirit of it.
Oh, and then the girl falls for Cameron.
Yes, that's also happening at the same time. It's the B plot.
That's the B plot. Yeah, I wasn't. I'm more concerned about the A plot in my plot summary.
I think that's fair.
You said A plot summary, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Right.
good.
A 1-minute plot summary
All
is
right,
a
now a
plot
30-second B plot summary. Go.
Yeah. So I've seen this movie a bunch of times. Came out in 1999. I didn't see it like in theaters, but I've seen it many times since. And it wasn't a huge success at the time, but has entered into this sort of late 90s, early thousands glut of teen comedies that people still really connect with and resonates with them. How about you guys?
I had never seen it before.
Cool.
I've seen it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I remember really liking it, and I did still really enjoy it, but it's definitely different than I remember.
We're going to talk about that, yeah.
I had never seen it before.
Cool.
My first time.
It's nice to be half and half. It's usually just one person, so neither of you have to feel too singled out. Okay, so yeah. 10 Things I Hate About You. Directed by Gil Junger. I have no idea how to pronounce. Maybe Junger.
Oh yeah,
don't know.
I mean the works of Gil Younger are timeless.
He's made some other stuff you might have heard of, but it's the more creatives that get focused on in this one is the screenplay by a duo, Karen McCullah Lutz and Kirsten Smith. They go on to also write Legally Blonde, Ella Enchanted, The House Bunny, Ugly Truth, and She's the Man. They also contributed to that one. So we're revisiting them a couple times this month.
Going into this movie, I think the only thing I knew about it was that Heath Ledger was in it and that she writes that poem in the end.
Yes.
But it's nice to see Heath Ledger.
Yes.
It's kind of weird.
And everybody wrote a poem for the end of the episode, right?
I did, yeah. I did not know Joe was in this movie.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Oh,
Yes, Joe.
Joe. Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah,
Mr.
Okay.
Joe.
Mr. Joe.
yes. It is kind of funny too that he just hasn't aged. I guess he's just changed size. It seems like.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, a little bit.
Oh no, he's like, what was it? 42, maybe.
Yeah, that's about right. Everyone's around the same age now. I know Julia Stiles is 42. I think he's the same age as Julia Stiles. So
Who are the girls in this?
the main one's Julia Stiles.
What else is she in?
She's in a lot of stuff. So
All I could, the whole time I was watching this, all I was like, this girl, I know,
Didn't she stop acting in more modern things? Like, isn't it like? Didn't she?
she's kind of soft retired. I mean, she was in the Bourne franchise.
Okay.
Supposedly her dance sequence on the table gets her cast in Save the Last Dance, which was weirdly big sensation back in the day. And she was sort of just in a bunch of stuff in the early thousands. This movie's sort of thought of as not necessarily like a breeding ground, but this place where a bunch of people all in their like late teens or early 20s. This was a lot of them their first like bigger movie. This is Heath Ledger's first American movie. Joseph Gordon-Levitt hadn't broken out yet. Third Rock from the Sun starts in 1996. So this is a few years after that, but he's just like the kid on that show.
Oh, right.
And one thing I always forget is that Allison Janney, who 6 months after this movie came out would star on The West Wing, and then many years later win an Oscar for I, Tonya, she's like in 3 of the first 5 scenes of the movie. And then it's just like not in the movie again, basically.
Those are some of my favorite scenes in the movie, though.
and wait, who's this?
The guidance counselor who's like
Oh.
writing erotic fiction.
Yes.
Quivering.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yes.
Which is structurally strange, but yeah. And then it's the 90s, so this movie also has a blooper reel at the end. You didn't mention that in your plot summary.
You know, I was going to mention it, though, because as soon as it came on, I was like, sad this is gone.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff, I'm like, yeah, I see why this stood in the 90s. This, I'm like, I like this. That movie should have this.
It makes 2 in a row. Josie and the Pussycats is 2001, but it also has kind of a blooper.
Blooper reel. I feel like they want to just save it for the director's cuts now, or like bonus features.
Yeah, for like the dozen of us that still buy physical media, so we can see all those deleted scenes.
Literally dozens.
Dozens of us. I think Julia Stiles is like around 18. Heath Ledger's like around 19 here. He looks super young. He's less than a decade from playing the Joker
Yeah, that's
at
crazy.
this point. Yeah. This is our first Heath Ledger movie.
Yeah, I was pretty meh on this movie, to be honest.
You were whelmed?
I was whelmed on this movie. Yeah.
I was watching this movie and I was like, I'm too late to this movie. Like, this is, if I had watched this in high school, I would have been all about this movie. And I'm like, yeah, now I'm too old for it, I think.
I agree. It does do a pretty good job of bringing you back into the 90s, but
was
like
very
some of the
nostalgic,
songs and like
yeah.
just like even though I don't know.
Even the opening, I was like, hell yeah, here we go.
As soon as this movie opened, I was like, they don't make movies like this anymore.
And then you were like, oh, they don't make movies like this anymore.
Yeah.
And the blooper reel too, like it was like, oh yeah, I remember all the movies used to do this. Not to jump there, but it also ends with like there's just a band on a roof playing music.
Yeah, like it happened in the 90s all the time. You're just chilling with a band where there shouldn't be a band.
Yep.
A lot of the clothing choices they made too, I was like, wow.
Giant suit jacket. Yeah, definitely.
This is very, very 90s.
Yes.
Should mention that the band in this movie that shows up, I think, 3 separate times is Letters to Cleo, whose lead singer, Kay Hanley, does the singing voice for Josie and Josie and the Pussycats. So it's back-to-back Letters to Cleo episodes. Oh, well. You watched Parks and Rec, right?
Yep.
It's the band that Ben's obsessed with.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, so...
Oh, I was excited to see Joe in this movie. Like I said, I did
So
not
why do you
realize.
guys call him Joe?
We watched some of the 50th anniversary Sesame Street episode, and he's in it, and they all call him, all the Sesame Street characters call him Joe.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
He probably insisted.
That's what I was thinking. And it's funny too because he looks so pumped because every time anyone really famous on Sesame Street, they're like hyped. It's like I fucking made it. It wasn't the Oscar. It's like, no, that's not what it is. It's once you end up on Sesame Street, like I fucking did it.
You're such a cultural icon that you're relevant to kids.
And he's hosting the 50th anniversary.
That's a big one. Yeah.
He likes to. He fancies himself like a song and dance man, so he'll get out there. He'll probably try to do a little song. See if maybe Big Bird puts a stop to it, though.
Fair.
We didn't finish it, yeah.
Mm.
But it was weird because we saw that like right after we watched that movie.
Yeah. They do call him Mr. Joe, obviously, because
He insists.
Well, they're children, and
He's in
I'm not sure. Maybe later, and they'll be like, just Joe is fine.
You know, they made a joke about his age now that I think about it because they were like, oh, Mr. Joe, he must be like at least 12 years old.
Yes.
And he's like, I am 38.
That's funny.
And they're like, whoa.
Yeah, so this and then 500 Days of Summer, like weirdly very big in like a hyper specific generation of people. And then he has made a ton of other movies. He tried to do something with remember that movie that was just about him being like a Jersey Shore guy that like masturbates a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember.
And then people are like, you don't get to make movies anymore. And that was pretty much it for him.
Yes. You're man.
All right, this was a mistake.
Don John, I want to say. I didn't see it.
Oh,
but-
he was addicted to jerking off.
Yeah, he was addicted to porn, and I assume also jerking off. But
Scarlett Johansson's in it, maybe?
yeah, she's like, stop watching porn.
He's like, I
I
can't.
can't do it. No can do.
I like him in,
Sorry, Scott.
have you seen 50-50?
Yes.
I love that movie.
That's a good
Underrated.
movie.
I like 50-50 a lot
It's a really
also.
good movie.
Good movie.
Love
He
that
has to
one.
shave his head.
He has cancer, and
Well, that
Seth
too.
Rogen's his friend.
Oh, I have seen that.
Yes.
Good Seth Rogen role.
Yes.
Yeah, he plays Seth Rogen.
Yes. It's Seth Rogen, but it's not like a goofy comedy.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It's like a cancer comedy.
Yes.
Yeah, I watched it once a very long time ago.
Yeah, good movie.
He gets a greyhound named Skeletor.
Yes. We love that.
Yeah. we love Joe here.
Yeah.
And I guess Inception also pretty big movie for him.
Yes.
Never heard.
And Dark Knight Rises.
Oh,
We're
yeah,
at the
huh?
end. At the end, some lady's like, "You were Robin the whole time," and he's like, "Yep," and that's it.
Yes. Funny that him and Heath Ledger end up in that Dark Knight trilogy, huh?
Not at the same time.
He was in Dark Knight.
Rises.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the police officer, right?
Yeah,
He's the
he's
police
using his cop voice in that
officer.
movie.
We never actually get to see him be Robin, though, right?
No, it is the
He's
last
like-
scene. They're like, "Oh, your name's this." He's like, "Well, my actual name is Robin or something." And they're like,
Yeah. Functionally, it's like an acknowledgement that he was like kind of a sidekick in that movie.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no one's really like the thing. That's the Chris Nolan Batman movies. People are sort of incidentally the comic book characters.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm also this guy.
Yeah.
Unrelated.
Right. Yeah.
Was
No,
it
no one's
the-
like in a costume. All of their stuff is like supposed to have a functional reason that's what their clothes look like or whatever.
Gotcha.
Was he the kid in Angels in the Outfield?
There's a different kid that I confuse with him as a kid that was also in Rookie of the Year.
Hmm.
And because that's a baseball movie, I can't place it.
Look at the Google.
Yeah, someone can Google it. Shouldn't go too long without offering a little bit of a defense. I like this movie a lot, and then I think it's still pretty interesting.
I still enjoyed it. I don't know if I like it as much as
It
I
is him.
did when I was younger. I thought it was incredibly hilarious that they consciously put in the message of like, don't ever let someone tell you you don't deserve something that you just really, really want, because like, what the hell is that even? Like, he didn't put in any work or effort. Heath Ledger was just like, no. If you really, really want something, don't ever let someone tell you you don't deserve it. I'm like, well, hold up. Why does he deserve anything in this situation?
Okay. Cameron sucks, right?
Yeah.
He's the villain of this
He's like, I
movie.
learned French for you. I'm like, okay, hold on.
No, you're
pretended
thinking of Cameron as the villain of Ferris Bueller. You're confusing your Cameron.
You
villain.
pretended to be a French tutor. You didn't learn French for her. Like, this movie from the female perspective is a horror movie.
I don't want to get like out of order here, but in the end, when he wins the little sister and they're like going sailing or whatever, and the other sister's like crying on the porch, she's like, "She okay?" And I'm like, "No, dude, you paid somebody to pretend to like her, like want to date her."
You've psychologically manipulated so many people.
He didn't pay someone. He tricked someone into paying
Right.
someone.
He didn't want to cough up the cash.
He's like a sociopathic manipulator to the highest degree in this.
Because he saw this girl one time, was like, "I gotta bang her. I
It's
gotta."
like, I defended you. And I'm like, yeah, why did you do that? That was the first time you saw her. This person that knows her is like, she's full of herself and superficial. And you're like, no, she's beautiful. That has nothing to do with her personality traits, which you do not know what they are.
Cameron is the bad guy.
Yeah, and then he gets to know her like a little bit, and like the first real conversation they have, he's like, "You're actually like super conceited. You can't treat people badly just because you're hot." And she's like, "Oh, I would make out with you then."
Any conversation that's difficult, I just start kissing the person. They shut up.
That is a lot of.
great.
That is the first move for multiple characters. Okay. So to back it up, the most of the interest in that I have in the movie still today, that I find interesting about the movie rather today, comes from the adaptation and the source material. Taming the Shrew gets adapted a lot because the dialogue in it's really good. It's basically just doing screwball comedy. It has like a witty repartee between the two people, but the gender politics of it are fucking brutal. It's like, by any definition of today's standards, pretty horrible abuse that a dude is doing to an outspoken lady to like get her to chill out and just agree with it.
Whose biggest offense in the school was, I guess, having opinions.
However, what's cool about this movie is how it pushes back against a lot of the source material. And it's not so much that Kat has to be a different person that like agrees with everyone. Because Kat doesn't really have to change. It's just that like, you know, she like allows herself to be a little more vulnerable with a couple people.
Yes.
And that's really it. But she's like outspoken. There's a bit of a parody element to her version of feminism where there's like a black guy who's like, "Oh yeah, it must be really tough."
I was going to say, I really do enjoy the teacher seeds and like him like kind of putting that back into perspective.
Yes. Yeah, but it's just, she gets to be like a real character. I think Julia Stiles like really does more than, replacement level stuff on this, by which I mean the director wanted to cast Katie Holmes. This movie would have been terrible.
Yes.
Yeah, because she just can't do this kind of prickly thing that, you know, Julia Stiles just gets to exist as this person in the world who is outspoken about these things, and never has to apologize for that.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest with you, when I first watched this when I was younger and shittier, clearly, I thought she was like a bitch, you know, and I was like, she's very much deserved in the way people are treating her. And watching it as an adult, I'm like, I don't really think she's done anything particularly offensive, except for just like have opinions that are different than what's being presented in the class. But nobody in the class had any other opinions. They didn't want to say shit. She was the only one providing anything. So even the teacher was being a little harsh. Like, nobody else was participating in that classroom either. So would you rather just everyone shut the fuck up?
She just feels like someone who just like really wants to get out of her small town.
Yes.
And go do other stuff that's interesting to her.
I think that's also a credit to her acting, that like you kind of got that like a little bit of bitchiness, I guess. I don't know. I think she did kind of put some of that into there.
For sure, yeah. But it's like it's because she wants to be a little bitchy. But yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. And what happens when I watch this movie these days, I guess, this is the first time I watched it in a while, but I guess it's been pretty recently, is that it is, and it's not just the tone, it's just so very weird for a while. It wins me over by about halfway through the movie, I think. But it is, I wouldn't say like an uphill struggle or anything, but it is hard to get on the same level as it. And what eventually wins me over is just that she and Heath Ledger have really good chemistry.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like you want to root for them because you don't really feel like Heath Ledger wasn't really playing the game. He was just doing his own thing that happened to
doing his own thing and just accepting money along the way.
That's like, it didn't feel like they paid him, but they weren't like, I guess they did do a little bit of the intel and stuff like that, right? But like,
I think for the at least first half of the movie, he is just in it for cash.
that's fair.
Yeah.
I will be honest. There's a lot of times where we're watching this movie where it's just like, man, this movie's fucked up. This is so fucked up. This is so fucked up.
And then there's also kind of, for me, goes back to the adaptation thing, which is like, it is, I wouldn't say it's burdened because they chose to adapt Taming of the Shrew, but it is sort of fighting with the structure of that, of like hanging like, okay, how do we modernize that and make it fun?
So,
And it's in like, there's some tension there on how you adapt it. And it's, I guess what they do is like, the stuff that's really bad, just try and make it really big. So like the dad being so ridiculously strict, make him like cartoonish.
so
And then it doesn't feel as shitty.
I've never dealt with the source material. So can you give us like a high level of like, what is this Taming of the Shrew like?
Yeah, so it's a Petruchio, Patrick. He has it's like this courtship thing, and it's an outspoken woman, and he does not care for that. So he like doesn't let her eat for a while.
Is that the dad?
No, that's like
The
the
suitor.
Heath Ledger character.
Okay.
And like really fucks with her. And then eventually she's just like so tired and she's basically like been brainwashed that she just like agrees with the dude. And we're all like, yay, the man won.
Okay, interesting.
So this comes pretty far from the source material because Heath Ledger never really.
Starves her. No, I don't.
No, he doesn't do that. And eventually he's just kind of like, what he kind of falls for is just like, oh, this is someone who like is sort of on a similar level to me. We can kind of like get along outside of like even a romantic context.
He does what he finds entertaining, regardless what other people think, and she does the same.
Yeah.
Two things. First, I assume Taming of the Shrew was something more like training an animal, like the little thing.
No, the woman is
All
the
right.
shrew.
I just had never read it before. I assumed it was, and the other one, when he's fucking gaslighting her mad hard when she's like, well, why do you want to go to prom? And he's like, because I want to go. And you're being a jerk.
Yeah.
You're accusing me. I was like, oh, that was one time I was like, this is so fucked up.
Yeah.
That's the one time where, as you were mentioning that thing about him like not giving her food, immediately thought of that scene where he's like yelling at her for like.
And I like,
because he's
I
got
do-
caught.
Yeah, 'cause he got caught.
I do appreciate that she just like clocks it immediately. And
Yes.
it's like, oh, well, fuck you then. And just walks out on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then she does decide she's wrong later and apologizes, and he's like, "Thanks for apologizing." I was like, "This is fucked."
She doesn't really decide she's wrong. She's just sort of like, yeah, whatever.
I think she says something like, "Oh, I'm sorry for whatever, like doubting you," or I forget what she,
Something like that.
yeah. Oh, the cartoon dad though, I felt like that also gave me like serious '90s vibes. I feel like all the '90s dads for a while were very concerned with the impregnation of their daughters. That was like a thing,
There was a lot of punchlines around that.
and it's so weird. I really don't like it at all.
Hey,
Yeah.
who knocked up your sister? That was pretty hilarious.
That was funny.
Yeah. Well, it's like, how do you solve for why would people who aren't in some sort of cults not be allowed to date as, high schoolers?
The one thing I did
Oh,
like,
I mean, that's just like half of the churches around here.
Yeah, but if you don't want to introduce that into the story, then how
one
do you
thing
solve for that
I
in
really
your
liked
fun
that they
movie?
did was that they made him a doctor delivering babies, because normally it's honestly, it was already like a 90s thing that like dads had this weird thing about their daughter's sex lives, but the fact that he keeps mentioning like that it's because he delivers the babies all the time. I don't
Do
know.
you
I like
what
that better.
daughter said to me, like, I
Yes.
regret my life choices and blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah.
I should have made
Pretty
my
close.
like cracked out boyfriend wear a condom. She says, I was like, oh, that was pretty close. I should have listened to my father. She did not say that.
The,
Well, she would have if she wasn't so doped up.
As like cringy as that is, those scenes were some of the funniest in the movie.
Yes, the scenes
Yeah.
with the dad are some of the funniest in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like his performance. They did like not even a reboot, but like a kind of a sequel or something, and he's the only one that came back.
That's weird.
11 things.
Yeah, I think it was just a different cast doing the same story, but they were like, well, he can come back again. We're not going to get better than that guy.
Fair.
We should mention, just because he was also in an episode last month, David Krumholtz, who plays the nerdy friend who looks to be 40, but is only a couple years older than Joseph Gordon-Levitt. The nerdy guy who gets a dick drawn on his face.
Yep.
Who has like a random moment of like slapstick action on the bicycle.
Oh yeah.
Just like unprompted. And,
Yeah,
like,
very random.
It doesn't move the plot forward whatsoever.
And everyone
Not at
kind of
all.
cheers. It's like, yeah, it was just a fun thing that happened that day for everyone in attendance.
It's just because like you kind of imagine like them going through like an editing like checklist, like looking at scenes, like, all right, is this necessary? Is this, and like somebody gave an argument for why that scene needed to stay into the movie, and it probably boiled down to like, no, that's fun, right?
One of the Teen Choice Awards that got nominated for was like funniest scene, and it was just him that was nominated. I couldn't find like the 1999 Teen Choice Awards to review
Weird.
what happened, but I was like, it's probably that scene because I don't know what else you would nominate only him for.
Maybe
It's
it's a dick.
No, because then it would be
But
the
then
other
it would
guy.
there'd be two people in it.
That's fair.
Not
Fun-
gonna lie, Robbie, when I was watching that scene, I could just think of you driving your car over that. That was all I could think of the whole time.
Wait, so did this happen to Robbie?
Yes.
Kind of more intentionally, and it was to knock down a fence. My car got stuck on the hill.
Ah,
Had to have the janitor tell me out.
well,
Gaslit the school resource officer into thinking the fence was just falling down before I started doing
Yeah.
that.
that'll happen. Oh, and the movie that David Krumholtz was in, Walk Hard, the movie we did last month.
No.
Yeah, he has a very older energy. But I think he's only like 22, and most of the people are 19 or 18. And the oldest person there is Gabrielle Union. She's 26 when they record this.
Okay.
Record
Who's
podcast
that?
brain. She's just the friend, Bianca's friend, who ends up with the preppy douche guy.
Are you sure the dude whose house they have the wine and cheese party at isn't the oldest? Because he looks like he's legit like 50. He's like balding a little bit.
Yeah, poor guy. That'll be whoever with the brie, and everyone runs in. Classic teen movie.
He came in
setup.
with the brie, though. I don't know if you saw that.
I don't see- That's
Yeah.
very good.
He did, yeah. The guy was like at the front of the pack with a big plate of cheese.
That's fantastic.
Can you take that outside, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, let's do the plot a little bit, I guess. Like you said, Cameron, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's the new kid in school. We open with him in Allison Janney, the guidance counselor's office, and he's like, This doesn't seem good. This place seems terrible. And she's like, all right, go to class. And he immediately sees a girl he hasn't talked to yet and is defending her personality to David Krumholtz, who's like, that person sucks.
He's like, I'm gonna bang her.
Yep.
I will legit destroy people's lives if I have to.
Krumholtz sort of like latches onto him because he doesn't have any friends and like sees a new kid and is like, oh, I'll go be friends with that new kid. Yeah. And then what's going on is Julia Stiles is dishing out some feminist talking points in her class about what authors they should be reading. Heath Ledger is the bad boy and everyone's scared of him.
He's not even here yet, right? We haven't even.
I was kind of setting up,
Yeah.
you know.
We see the douchey guy. What's the douchey guy's name? I think it's
Yeah.
Johnny or something.
Heath Ledger comes into the guidance counselor's office as
yeah,
JGL's leaving.
Yeah.
Joe, sorry.
I don't know his name, but I recognize him from Saved by the Bell. So I was just like, Slater's such a dick. But is that even the same actor?
No.
Great.
You're thinking of Michael J. Fox.
He kind of looks like Slater, though, no? Fuck me.
AC Slater? Yeah, no, this is a different man.
I might just be face blind.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I was waiting for that douchey guy to get punched in the face because the teacher, every time you see the teacher mentions about how he's excited for him to get punched in the face. And I was like, oh, I'm excited for this guy to get punched in the face now, too.
Yeah, that pays off.
Yeah, I was like...
And no one does anything about it when it happens, just like the teacher said.
Yes.
Slater's Mario Lopez.
Yeah, I was going to say, I double-checked because I was like, that's Mario Lopez for sure. Who's at least 10 years older than this kid.
What's the other guy's name?
He's not in a lot of stuff.
Not Mario Lopez.
We can't get hung up on whether or not this child is Mario Lopez.
We're not spending any more than 10, 15 minutes yet.
Yeah.
One of these children is Mario Lopez.
So what's happening throughout these? Okay, go ahead.
His name is Joey, and he was Andrew Keegan.
Yeah.
If that means anything, but we were looking for the name. The name was Joey.
Joey.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
I was
looking for the
close with
actor's
Johnny.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joey. Anyway,
He doesn't look like that guy.
one thing that's happening is they're putting a lot of the actual words from Tammy of the Shrew into the mouths of the nerdy kids.
Yes.
And maybe not a lot, but every now and then it happens. Like, and then someone will be like, "You can't say that. That sounds so stupid."
I did not realize. I forgot that this month was teen things adapted, and every now and then they'd say something. And I was like, "That's a really weird thing to say," and then the other characters would be like, "That's a really weird thing to say."
Yeah, please don't say that near me. People can hear you.
Yes, and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's funny." You know, I didn't even think like this is words out of a play.
Yeah, it happens.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so that's happening, and pretty soon they devise a plan. Well, they start with a simple plan, and then it sort of escalates from there. Krumholtz and Joseph Gordon-Levitt are like, okay, I'm going to pretend to be a French tutor, because we all know that she needs a French tutor. I guess that's just the word on the street.
You just the goss.
Yep. So he tries to do that, and then like immediately they go over like one French word. He doesn't know it because he doesn't speak French. Immediately asks her out instead. She's like, I can't date because of this. And he's like, oh, okay. So then, while he's giving her fake French lessons in order to like keep spending time with her, they decide that her sister rather, played by Julia Stiles, needs to go on a date, because when she goes on a date, the sister that people actually want to date can go on dates. So they, at first themselves, try to approach Heath Ledger, who they're scared of, and drills a hole in their book on French. And then
I also like that the French. He has the French book for the rest of the movie, and it has the hole on it.
Yep.
And like he's using
Nice
it.
detail.
Like it is a nice detail.
decide they need to pay him, but they don't have any money. So they instead convince the jerky guy, who is also rich, to pay Heath Ledger to do this. I really wish I had more information on what exactly they mean. But apparently, Andrew Keegan, who plays Joey, didn't know how to draw dicks. Because during the scene where Krumholtz is trying to pitch him on the plan, he's drawing a dick on his face.
Yep.
And it's just like a tidbit of information that's like, he didn't know how to draw dicks, so Krumholtz had to show him how to do it himself on his own face, I guess. And it's like, what do you mean? What did like the script call for it? And they got there and he just like froze and it's like, I've never heard of this concept before.
I just assumed all boys were born with an innate like not even like knowledge but desire.
Yeah, like everyone's like Jonah Hill and Superbad, just
like,
compulsively drawing dicks.
I mean, at a certain point in every boy's life, I feel like they've gone through I'm gonna draw a decent amount of dicks. Maybe that's. I know it wasn't just me. There was more people in our friend group that was doing the dick drawing. So
it was never my thing, but certainly like if someone was paying me and my job was to draw a dick, I wouldn't be like, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I can't do this.
You're going to have to show me what you're talking about, because that sounds like an alien concept to me.
This sounds like something I would say to someone to watch them draw a dick on their face. I just can't do this.
Huh, yeah.
Maybe no one ever realized it was a joke, and then eventually maybe it started happening and then he felt bad and he had just to go with it, maybe. one of those things. He's like, "Oh, thank you so much for showing me. I feel really bad about this." Anyway, so the dumb guy then has to convince Heath Ledger. It's a multi-tiered structure to this conspiracy, and he does.
All fucked up.
They negotiate up to $50. Heath Ledger tries to flirt with Kat a couple times, doesn't really work. Then he ups his fee to $100 a date. And
I really liked his math when he was talking about the movies because he was spot on with those prices. He was like, I take her to the movies. That's, at least $15. I was like, oh, I wish the tickets were still that cheap. He's like, then popcorn, that's $75. And I'm like, damn, he's right.
I was like, the whole time I was seeing this, I was like, oh, I get it, because he's the dumb kid. That's why his math's all wrong. He's about to lose money on this deal.
They eventually decide, okay, she's not just going to go out with you just because you say she should to her. Let's snoop in her stuff and figure it out. The sister's in on it now too.
Yep.
They break into her room. They go through all her stuff.
Just got some interesting theories on the college's underwears and what they mean.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I'm sure a lot of teens at the time sort of filed that away, like, oh, okay.
Okay, yep.
Good to know.
Yeah, this is important.
Yeah, good to know. And then through that, they find out that she hates smokers, loves feminist poetry, and likes indie rock groups fronted by women.
Yes.
And then and then they're like, you got to go to Club Skunk. And he's like, I hate going to Club Skunk. And they're like, you got to go to Club Skunk.
Like, where are all these high school clubs?
Yes.
Seattle?
He's also in like a bar later.
Yeah, he's at a biker bar playing like pool or something. Also in their super nice neighborhood in Seattle. And yeah, so.
I do like, I think we missed this already, but when I think the nerdy friend is talking to him and they keep mentioning all the rumors they hear about him, like, because that's in the bar. He's like, you shouldn't be drinking like without liver. He's like, what?
He sold his liver. Like, you can't not have a liver.
Yeah.
And I think he said something about the duck too at some point.
Beak to tail.
Yeah.
He ate a duck live.
Yes.
Yeah, he ate a duck and he said everything except the beak and the feet.
Yes. But I think he makes a comment to him at some point about the duck.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
it's when
he
the-
tries to have a conversation. He's like, oh, I had some great duck last night.
Yes,
That's when the rich guy like sidles up to him to pitch him on it. And he's like, I had some great duck last night.
Yes.
What?
I do like that the rumors keep coming up.
Yes. About both of them. About Kat too. Later. Yeah. So this is basically just starts going on. And it's like a rom-com. They're going on kind of not really a date. He just is also at the concert. And then like says some stuff about indie rock groups fronted by women. And she's like, you know them? And he's like, you don't?
Yes. He's got some light stalking happening as well.
Yeah. It's Bikini Kill and the Raincoats are the ones he name drops.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Raincoats.
it's not just lying and
Nope.
manipulation. It is some stalking as well.
And Club Skunk is the first place where Letters to Cleo appears, doing one of their own songs. There's multiple times in the movie where Julia Stiles' Kat is like, oh, that's my favorite band. It's like, oh, I can't believe you got them to come or whatever. And they never say the name of the band.
Oh,
So they must not have been paid that much or whatever. I don't know. But in this scene, they are performing a Letters to Cleo song. So I don't know.
was this Cruel to Be Kind?
No, that's at the
That's the
prom.
bit of it. Because I remember being like, this is my favorite band. And I was like, this is a cover of an 80s song. But
Yeah. Cruel to Be Kind is at the prom. Then they're covering I Want You to Want Me on the roof and the end credits. All Letters to Cleo 3 different times. Anyway, yeah. So talked about that. I don't think I've talked about it on a pod before. Maybe just with people in real life. I'll have to go back to the Josie episode to see if it was last week. But like one of my favorite genres of music is indie rock band fronted by a woman that sounds like music that would play at the end of a teen comedy.
it's a hard category.
However, I
Spotify.
do not think their cover of "I Want You to Want Me" is in that category.
Fair.
Yeah.
I thought the Cruel to Be Kind one was pretty good.
Yes, that's closer to it. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, stuff happens. Then they're doing whatever. stuff's going on.
Things.
Things happen. So
One after the other.
That's when I think that's when she actually agrees to go on a date with him.
Yes.
You know, it is funny because they kept showing the band, and I was like, they show the band enough that I feel like I should know who they are.
yeah, it was in the maybe in 1999 you would have.
Well, it was more like I knew that it was more than just like actors like playing a band. I was like, this is a real band, I think, but I don't know who.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sure.
I like when they go on the date and they do the like checking if the rumors are true.
Yeah, that's a good scene too. But it's the free beer party happens first.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The party scene's good. It's good classic teen movie party scene. The scene where the part of it where she's dancing is like blocked really well. Actually, it's interestingly shot. Yeah, it's just like slightly better than replacement level and a lot of stuff like the way it's shot. But yeah, a lot of stuff, a lot of drama, a lot of teen angst happening.
I on several times I was like, wow, this her cat. I was like, wow, she's angsty. A lot of teen angst. When they're leaving to go to this party is the first time her little Bianca is like yelling at her, like, please just go so I can go to this party or not. And she's like, no, I'm not doing that. She's like, please just do it for me. And there's like a long conversation about it where she's like, doesn't want to go, and then she's thinking about it, and Bianca really wants her, and finally she says yes, and then they open the door to leave, and Heath Ledger is there, and he's like, you remember I said I'd pick you up at this time for the party? And the sister isn't like, what the fuck? Why did you make me beg?
You were always going?
And I feel like,
Oh, yeah, it was actually.
yeah. Oh, yeah, I did forget, because this is when he sees the sister. You gotta wear the belly. Knocked up
Right,
the
yeah.
sister.
Yeah, who knows your
I know
sister.
your sister. You're just so casual about
Yep.
it.
She
But-
insists on driving, and I think that's actually Heath Ledger's car.
Oh, like his real car?
Yeah, I guess that was just his car.
Huh.
Nice.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Anyone have a car here?
Yeah, but I really like that she did like have to beg her. She's like, what the fuck?
Okay.
It is pretty solid.
Your date was waiting at the door. You made him wait so I could beg.
All right, but it's going to cost you.
And I like they briefly show like Joseph Gordon-Levitt and David Krumholtz getting ready for the party, and he like doesn't know if he should wear a tie or something. I haven't been to a party since Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes, it was really good though.
Yeah, there's never been a point in your life so far where you should have worn a tie to a party.
He just doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Oh,
So-
this is the party where Bianca bails on Cameron too, and he's like devastated.
Yeah, everyone has a bad time at this party.
Everyone has a bad time at this party.
This is after her dance sequence. Kat is like almost passing out because she gets a concussion,
Yes.
and is also very drunk. And so then there's a nice-ish moment on the swings with Heath Ledger and her.
Mhm.
And
Trying to keep her awake.
yeah, I feel like it's really burned into my brain when she's like, you know what they say? And he's like, I don't know. What do they say? And then she looks over and she's very asleep. You can't sleep with a concussion. This movie is the reason that I'm pretty sure you die if you sleep when you get a concussion.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Because
That
I
is
watched
just
this movie at a
common knowledge.
formative age, and that's one of the things.
Yeah, I found out very recently, very, very recently, that it's not as big of a deal as we were made out to be. Like you
Damn
can.
you, Heath Ledger.
Well, you have to sleep at some point, right? The concussion doesn't just go away.
Never sleep. You have to stay awake for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So I think I said before, this apparently is the scene that gets her cast in Save the Last Dance, which comes out in 2001. Yeah.
And that was The Last Dance.
So you don't think that advice is good that Heath gives to Joe?
No, not even a little bit.
No?
No. You're
The spirit of it is kind of there. I mean, we're not supposed to think that Heath Ledger's like the most mature person.
No, I think in the 90s, they genuinely thought that was a good message.
Yeah.
They genuinely thought it was when the manifestation bullshit started too. It was just if you really want something hard enough, you deserve it. And like, that's not true. Like, it's
true at all.
just not true.
Especially if the thing you want is not a physical object you can own, but another person.
For sure.
And I think this is also the part where he says something to the camera like you're like you're a way better man than he is or something like I don't know, dude. He is He's paying you to absolutely destroy somebody emotionally. Are you sure he's better than the douchey guy? I know the douchey guy is douchey.
Douchey guy is just living his life. I don't think he's aware he's douchey. Joe knows better.
Joe knows better.
He's
Joe is
intelligent
evil.
enough to know what he's doing.
Joe is evil.
wrong. Yeah, and that's
He's just got that baby face though, so
He does.
He does.
it's low key.
But yeah, like especially when we're talking about a person, like it's especially bad. But like the message really needs to be like, if you've worked for some, I don't like the
I don't
word
know.
deserve, to be honest with you. I think if people got what they deserved, they'd largely be dead.
So he doesn't.
If Joe got what he deserved, it would not have went well for him in this
That's
movie.
what, like deserve is not a word we should use that frequently.
No.
So I mean, it's like maybe,
Never deserve a person is the thing.
maybe it softens it, maybe it doesn't. But he doesn't say you deserve that lady. He says don't let people tell you that you don't deserve something you want. Right?
Yeah, but like you can and
Something he
should be
wants
told
as a
that
person.
sometimes.
But like
Like-
also in context, no one has told him that.
I want a Nobel Prize. You don't deserve a Nobel Prize, Robbie, because you've done nothing to contribute
You've
to
done nothing
humanity like
Nobel.
that. And that's a correct statement that you should tell me if I'm like being an
Yeah.
asshole because nobody's given me a Nobel Prize.
You haven't donated enough
I
to the
hate
government.
how much
either.
of an asshole Robbie is all the time about not having a Nobel
I'm just like, maybe I wouldn't be such a dick if they gave me a Nobel Prize already.
Why does he keep bringing this up?
It's like, have you done anything? It's like, no, not at all.
Yeah, it's not the best message, but at least it's like he's trying to bond with Cameron in that moment.
It's nice to
a
see-
nice moment.
Yeah,
It is like he's like, I have to deal with that a lot more than you. So here's like the first thing that comes to mind, advice wise.
It's also a teenager giving another teenager advice, you know?
I agree that the message is bad, but I did like that part of the movie.
Yeah,
actually, 'cause
yeah.
it's a good moment for the two of them, and it's like one of the first times that Heath Ledger is like soft with somebody.
Yes.
For sure. It's
And he is like genuinely trying to take care of Julie Stiles.
it's surface
And he's
level.
genuinely trying to help Joe too.
Not a bad message either, because it's basically like, don't let the popular kids in school say you're not good enough or something
Yes.
along those lines,
That
which
you
I
don't
get.
have value or whatever.
I'm just doing it for the bit because I think it's very funny to examine it deeper.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we're on a podcast talking about it, so yeah, this is all farce.
It's all for the bit. It's all been a bit.
This has all been a bit.
Always has been.
You guys have never checked, but none of these episodes have ever been released.
Oh my
That
god.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
We really don't have any way to verify the numbers you told us. Oh yeah, there's 52 more people listen to it.
Yeah. And then there's a couple, the party's pretty much dying down and Heath Ledger needs to get Julia Stiles home. And so there's a back-to-back car drop-off scenes.
She realized very quickly that Joey was very uninteresting.
Yeah, he's doing his posing and stuff, which it's all good stuff for like watching the movie. But like if you're putting yourself in her shoes, you're like, oh yeah, it turns out this guy sucks.
This is horrible. This would just be my life all the time.
Yeah. So he goes to an after party with Gabriel Union, who was just like down to be like, well, you had your chance. Obviously, this guy's like the real prize. I'm later. So she needs a ride home from Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Meanwhile, Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles get back to the house. It's a nice moment that then she's like kind of goes in for a kiss and he sort of stops it because she's drunk. And, this movie came out in a different century.
There's a lot of fucked up shit I'll do, but lightly kissing a drunk girl.
It's good. He can't get consent.
No, I know.
This movie came out
true.
last
It was
century.
good. It was very good.
Come on.
I didn't think it was because she was drunk. I thought he felt bad that he was being paid to bring her out.
Either
on these
way.
dates.
I definitely
Yeah.
thought it was the drunk thing.
Oh, so yeah, I thought because she seemed like she wasn't drunk anymore for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
And I did keep thinking, I was like, why are these girls drinking? Their dad's definitely breathalyzing them when they get home, right? Like, what are they thinking?
That's fair. Also, they're probably due back home at like 10 o'clock, so they've only had like 2 hours to get this drunk and get back home.
Yeah, because she's like seems
I mean,
totally
they're-
fine now.
They're very small teen girls. It probably doesn't take a ton of alcohol.
But yeah, I assumed he's feeling bad that he's been accepting money to like that he's emotionally destroying this lady.
I could see that. That's also a good.
That's what I thought too.
And it's the 90s. I don't think they cared about kissing when drunk.
I don't know if that's we can make a positive statement on that.
Based on American Pie again.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, this is coming out around the same time as that. Is slightly, maybe more informed. I don't know. But then Joseph Gordon-Levitt stands up for himself as he's dropping off Bianca, and she's like, "Oh, this guy has some like positive attributes too, maybe." And so she kisses him.
Also, why does he think? What does he deserve from her? Like,
what did she owe him at that point?
Yeah, why she doesn't like you, dude? Why you're just her French tutor.
He seemed to be upset that his background plans hadn't gone off exactly as he anticipated without communicating
dick to her about it.
He didn't even communicate to her his interest at that point, really, except for the one date suggestion.
Yeah. And
which she turned down.
And he's like, "You never even wanted to go sailing with me, did you?" It's like so weirdly specific, dude.
You brought up your most recent daydream.
Yeah.
He's a creep. He's evil. He's the villain. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You could definitely make a nice guy's post from his perspective.
It's a nice guy thing, right?
Yes, it totally is. Yes.
Yes.
That's all I could think about during that.
100%. Yeah. Well, okay.
And
so
he's being pouty about it the whole time too. Like even giving her the ride home, he's like, he's doing it still. He's like, "I'm such a nice guy doing this, and she doesn't deserve me." And
yeah. This isn't a movie that's going to deconstruct the nice guy thing. So the nice guy just is a nice guy. But like we talked about Scott Pilgrim recently. So that's like, that's what he grows up to be in like 5 years.
Yes. There you go.
You got another little sister?
And then like, yeah. And then Bianca will be like Kim when he's just like, "Oh yeah, we're cool now." And she's like, "We're not cool."
He emotionally
hate
destroyed
that
my
guy.
sister.
Yeah, I hate that guy. Yeah, I mean, that's probably true, but this is not going deep on that because I think that character is just a lot of these are like archetypes that they put a 90s, shine on.
Yes. Yeah.
And then pretty soon after that, there's a few scenes where Kat's just mad that not that he didn't kiss her, but just that she like was vulnerable and rebuffed and she's just embarrassed. And her reaction to being embarrassed is just to like shut him out basically. So he needs to make a grand gesture, and then it turns into one of either the most or the second most famous scene in the movie. Did you guys know about this? Because I know you mentioned the poem before.
I didn't know about this.
I knew about this scene. I did not realize it was in this movie.
Yes, so he does Frankie Valli's "Can't Take My Eyes Off of You" on the... it's some high schools just have like stadium seating.
Oh, for sure.
Just into the hillside.
Yeah.
20,000 people or so. And
so this is just Heath Ledger, just, megawatt star charisma. His first American movie, a lot of times first people seeing him. And now this is what makes him very famous, I think.
Fantastic.
Going forward.
It's a cool scene.
This is some real ass A-list star shit. We just don't have people who do this kind of thing.
I love watching like the security try to like take him out while he's still like singing and dancing.
And then
stuff.
they finally get him, and then he like breaks out and he runs away again.
Yeah,
this is really good.
He's doing like show tune running.
Yeah,
to sort of taunt them, I guess.
Yeah, with the like straight leg kick kind of thing.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I like that
works.
scene.
It was fun.
Grand gestures are good, and you just think of like. He's 19 doing this. We're not making. There's no pipeline for people to break out in any kind of roles like this anymore. I just consider breakout for him, Julie Stiles, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but comedies at large don't really get made anymore. Teen movies just go straight to Netflix. It's tough out there. I don't know how people get famous anymore, and I guess they don't really.
Oh, I guess comedies don't get made anymore.
No,
that's concerning.
Yeah. So something we talked a little bit about on last week's episode was like, yeah, they don't make them like this anymore. It's like, yeah, they don't make comedies anymore. Comedies don't get into theaters if they're made. So.
Don't like that.
Nope.
I guess. Yeah.
Seth Rogen's in a new show. It's just on streaming.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a TV show. It's not like you'd go see it in a theater anyway. But
fair.
You get my point. But yeah, I mean, like I said, this is just straight up star shit. But then he has detention. The detention teacher got shot in the ass with an arrow earlier.
I really like that scene.
That was really good.
Because she just like turns and lets the arrow loose.
Yeah.
And then she does not react in any way.
Nobody
he's just,
like wants.
he's just
to
falling down in the background. Everyone else is still just like doing it.
Well, some people like run over to him, but
Eventually,
she's just
yeah.
like, she just continues on doing what she's doing.
But yeah, this is the detention teacher who's also the gym teacher who's also the soccer coach. I guess.
Yes.
And so then Julie Stiles' plan to release Cat, I don't know, full names only, funnier, I guess, to release Heath Ledger from detention is to distract, misdirect, and then eventually just flash the teacher.
Yes.
I did not like this scene.
I didn't either. Did not age well.
Super on brand for her character, right? Like just strong, independent, feminist,
Liberated, you know?
shows her breasts at the first opportunity to distract somebody.
She's tried like normal distraction techniques, at least like 3 first.
They were all kind of hitting on him too, which was kind of weird.
It didn't feel like something her character would do.
I don't know. She really wanted to get him out of his attention. So, you know, this is the one thing where I'm like, okay, the logistics here. Because they just do an immediate cut and they're on paddle boats. And you're like, okay, logistically, it's been at least an hour. And then they just talk about like, oh, let's reflect on the most recent thing that happened to us. It's like, no, you guys you got out of school. You had to drive down to the waterfront. You had to rent a paddle boat. You would have had this conversation by now.
Honestly, I was immediately like, are there paddle boats just like right outside the school?
Yeah,
the school is on a fucking
that's the only option.
huge, it's a waterfront school.
Let's paddle boat out of here.
Yeah, it's our getaway car.
Jump out the window. There's a paddle boat waiting.
I'll catch up. What do you mean you'll catch up?
Docks. Oh man.
Yeah, and it's a really goofy place to have like a real conversation because you're both on a fucking paddle boat.
I did really
Just
enjoy,
paddling away.
I really liked the before that where the teacher like singles the guy out that's clearly high to take his stash.
Yeah.
And he also takes someone's Cheetos.
Yeah.
And I'm confiscating these too.
These two.
Everyone in his class was, I don't know exactly.
His delivery on these two is really funny.
It's really good, yeah.
But yes, I think that's the most like not even cringy, but just like the most unintentionally funny bit is just like quick cut. We're on a getaway paddle boat, and we're having a conversation that we either would have had by now, or like you said, there was a paddle boat outside that window.
Yes,
was-
that's all I can think of.
It was.
I like to picture a rope down from detention in like a paddle boat.
No, would have made that fucking scene after they finished their important kind of like, I think because this is when they're talking like about who they are. I think this is when she asked him like, it might have been where she asked him like really where he was last year or something.
Yeah.
And after the camera zooms out a bit and the teacher's on a paddle boat, get back here. He's like, 50 feet behind him.
Or just like
And they paddle faster.
looking out the window.
No, I want him on a boat.
And I do like. I guess they don't have a destination in mind. They're just pedaling the paddle boat. And then he's, I forget which one of them says to the other one that's like, oh, you ready for that or whatever? And they point, and then like it cuts to the sign for a paint balloon range.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought it was paintball for sure. And then they had these, I was like, is this a
Balloons. Well, it's Seattle in the 90s.
Yeah. Seems very Seattle in the 90s.
Yeah, everyone's listening to Sub Pop. We're all throwing paint balloons at each other.
Greg was like, did this happen? Did we do this? I don't understand.
Seems fun, I guess. But so the reason this scene works so well is just that they're really fucking good together. And I mean, for me at least, I guess your mileage can vary, but that's for me. I think it's just a sparkling chemistry. I like this scene a lot, and I especially love towards the end of the scene. I think they kiss, and then the camera zooms out, and you see that they are the only people doing this activity. And it seems to just sort of be in a park. There's no like boundaries. There's just like people walking their dogs. And it's just them covered in paint, just sprinting around this small paintball looking course.
What are you guys doing? Just, painting each other.
Yeah.
Great.
It doesn't seem like anyone else is participating in this. Do you rent it out just like on an individual basis?
Now we're making out in this hay covered in paint
Yep.
in the
Yeah.
middle of a park.
Good guess. And then they're sitting on the deck, and this is when she's like, kind of calls him on bullshit. But before then, I feel like this is the kind of scene that these movies sort of revolve around, where it's just like these two people, they're sitting on a deck covered in paint, just talking. You're like, yeah, this is what people want to see. But then he messes it up. He's pushing too hard for the prom thing. He puts a cigarette in his mouth. She's like, "Oh, you're bullshit." So
I like how because so I've been in relationships where I lie about my smoking before, and I like how he consciously decided to bring the cigarettes with him. Rookie mistake, because like you're gonna make a subconscious move like that. You gotta leave them at home, man. But
that makes sense. Yeah, don't even. It's just it's muscle memory, right?
For sure. And I mean, it leaves a very distinct outline. Like she probably could have seen at any point that he had cigarettes on him.
This is one of the scenes where I was watching and I was like, audibly, I think I was like, oh, this is so fucked up.
Yeah. And I mean, she recognizes the fucked upness.
She doesn't even scratch the surface of how fucked up it is yet.
Yeah, they'll unpack it in therapy later.
Yeah.
It's the 90s. There's no therapy.
That's true.
Oh, so somewhere in this time, the teacher begins a lecture by rapping and then tells them they all have to write a poem.
Yes.
Based on
that
sonnet. That happened before, but that's just setting up for the final thing. Anyway,
has he stalked her in the music store yet? I know the light stalking is sprinkled in throughout.
Yeah, this happens. I didn't make a note of that because that was more montage-y.
That montage I think is after she finds out that
I was gonna say it might be. I couldn't remember if it's when his first stalking or the later stalking when he sees her.
Because that one's especially creepy because she's listening to music and doesn't acknowledge that he's there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's messing it up. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's not following through on his momentum with Bianca, and she's frustrated about that.
Much better at French than he is.
I think it's Kat's friend who is like, I always think of the South Park thing where the Christian music episode where like the record executives are like, it doesn't seem like you love Jesus. It seems like you're in love with Jesus. And he's like, what's the difference? And like for this girl, she's like in love with William Shakespeare.
Yes.
And then somehow David Krumholtz has secreted an entire dress into her locker.
It's so funny though, because when I first watched the movie, they were like the weirdo couple. And I was like, oh, I'm glad the weirdos found each other. And like on this watch of the movie, it's like, oh, this is the only healthy relationship in this entire series.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I'll agree.
It's the only one that doesn't have a lot of baggage.
No, it's just like, oh, you like Shakespeare? That's cool. I'm a nerd. Shakespeare's fine. Like, I'll role play this with you. Like,
sure. Yeah, he's down for costumes.
Yeah,
he doesn't care.
You want to do like Star Wars next week? She'd probably be fine with it.
Yeah. You can it's a give and take. You got to work on your relationships. We know.
I'll be Will, you be Leah. We'll have a good time with it.
Yeah. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, I think I had a thought for the end, but we're not quite there yet. So yeah, Bianca really wants to go to the prom, whatever. They're talking about it, sister to sister. It's nice that they do have some moments of understanding where just, for the first almost 2/3 of the movie, they're just sort of at odds. But this is where I believe this is where Kat tells Bianca that she used to date Joey.
Yep.
And they had sex once. And then she said she didn't want to anymore, so he dumped her. And so that's like...
do you remember all those people growing up that like had sex for the first time and they were like, oh, I don't want to do sex anymore? I know so many people that had that experience.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what? I actually didn't enjoy it. No, you know what? That's fine. I'm a guy, probably. This is different, but it's just a funny, like... I get it. It works for the movie.
Honestly.
Yeah. And she even says she didn't really want to, but just like everyone else was doing it.
It was pressured the first time.
Yeah.
I know. It's just the whole 90s had an unhealthy relationship with sex.
Yeah. And it's kind of odd to see that sort of confronted like this in a movie for teens.
I had trouble connecting with them during the whole, like, I want you to go to prom and like help me, because all I could think of was like, somebody is being paid to take her on these dates. You are helping them find information about her. She's being emotionally destroyed, and you're like, come on, help me here. I'm emotionally killing you. Help me emotionally kill you, please. You owe me. And I'm like,
really
what is happening?
just want to go to prom.
You're
and
so fucked up.
you're being a bitch about it.
You're being
I'm
an
the
asshole.
only sophomore that's been invited. It's like, oh, so you have multiple other prom opportunities.
Yes, I thought that too. I was like, so you're gonna go to prom without any of your friends?
Yes.
Just one of the title of girl that's gone to prom.
Yeah.
Yes. So that whole time, that was another time I was just like, oh, this is so fucked up.
Pretty fucked up.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, it's a little fucked up. Yes. I mean, that's a thing that I don't know if I think at this point we have put a fine enough point on it, but it really can't be overstated that like she's part of this too. She's the entire,
She's in.
from the beginning of the plan. She is part of this plan.
Yes.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
including like doing some of the recon and like
Yes.
intel gathering.
She
She's
makes the part where like she's crying and they walk away. It's like she's gonna be fine, and like she's like I don't know. We got what we needed from her.
Right.
It was also the part where like she brought him into her bedroom and they were like looking through his stuff. And he's like, "Can I see your room?" And she's like, "A girl's room is a private place."
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's supposed to be funny, but I was like, oh, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
So this is now so let's just say we're at prom now. They're mad at each other, but then eventually they do all go to prom. The sisters are mad at each other because she's like, you should understand what this means to me or whatever.
Yes.
Anyway, Kat eventually is like, I'll go to prom. And then both daughters are going to prom. And the dad's like, well, it's weird.
Yes.
But Bianca gets picked up by Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yep.
And they head off.
That's like a surprise. You don't know who's picking her up.
Right. And then the prom looks, it looks like a prom from the late 90s, I guess.
Their dresses were so 90s.
So 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Letters to Cleo is back.
The dad did kind of have a redeeming moment too when Joseph Gordon-Levitt picked him up, I guess, because he was like, "Oh, I thought it was like the other guy who was supposed to be the."
I noticed he does have a moment where he's like, "Oh, this guy's not that bad."
Yeah, like
Yes.
like this is a regular person, my daughter. Because like his concern, if he had voiced it that way, is like you shouldn't be dating this like almost he's a high schooler or like 18 and you know what I mean. It seemed like a senior freshman kind of.
Well, granted, as they're walking to the car, he does yell at Joe and he says, "I know every cop in town."
Yeah.
So he doesn't totally.
That's just 90s dad stuff.
90s dad stuff.
So it says, looks like stuff's working out for Joe. Looks like stuff's working out for Krumholtz because the girl shows up in her Shakespeare dress. And he's
I do like she says something like, "Where's Will?" And I think Kat says something like, "Oh God, it's gone into full hallucinations" or something like that.
Yeah.
Shakespeare's not here, sweetie.
Yeah. Julie Stiles and Heath Ledger are having like a nice time, but you just know there's this like time bomb ticking. He tells her that he was in Milwaukee taking care of his uncle last year.
Yep.
He wasn't like in
jail
or whatever.
So at what point in this story do you think Heath Ledger could have preemptively told her this? Because we're at the point where she finds out. Is there a point where you think he could have been like, "Hey, I'm fucking with Joey. He's taking his money to spend on dates for us, and it's kind of cool."
Yes. I think if he pitched it a certain way, she may have been on the same side, but I think she's probably hurt either way.
I think so. I don't think there's a good way because then the whole start of
it's
it's
definitely.
all,
I mean, it's definitely worse the longer you don't tell her.
If like when the prom,
It's never
going to
be like, well,
maybe like when they're having the prom discussion, he's like, "All right, I got to come clean, but I really like you,
yeah.
and we can buy you a guitar." I don't know. Ugh.
They yeah,
Yeah, I just don't.
that's
think-
maybe the moment. They had a nice day, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess how you present it too, like, "Hey, I know I fucked up. Before we go any further, I have to." I don't know. After the first date, I guess is
Cat should have
probably
dumped his ass.
Yeah.
Probably, but whatever. She likes what she likes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is-
So first, I should say, Letters to Cleo does come out eventually. But first, the band say Ferris is there. It's the 90s. And he's like, "I called in a favor." And she's like, "Oh my God, it's..." And she can't say it because I guess legally they can't say the name of the band. And it's like, yeah, I guess he went to one show and then I don't know vocally complained about how much he hated that band.
Yes.
I don't know what this favor is. They do not.
This kid
But-
has a more interesting backstory in life than most like full-grown adults I know. So like it's fine. I just
Yeah.
roll with
He
it.
doesn't have a liver. He ate a full duck.
But then Kay Hanley from Letters to Cleo like walks right up to them.
Yes.
And is like, just to be clear, this guy and I are real tight, I guess. The favor he called in was directly to me, Kay Hanley from Letters to Cleo.
Hell yeah.
And they're doing a cover of Cruel to Be Kind. Anyway, and then Joey walks up to him and is like, yeah, I can't believe like it's all going, I didn't pay you just so this can happen. And then Kat's like, that sucks, and runs
This
out.
is fucked up. My life's ruined. I'm gonna need so much therapy
The
now.
most horrible thing that's ever happened to me. It probably
Yep.
never will.
Right?
Yeah, it's real bad.
Then she starts running off, but first you have a brief scene where Joey punches Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and then before he like fights back, Bianca just really beats the hell out of Joey.
Yes. I did think
And as
Joe
the
was
teacher
gonna fight
promised
him.
earlier, no one steps in to stop her. And then you're at like the staircase. Kat's running away. She's mad at Heath Ledger. But including credits, there's only 12 minutes left in the runtime of the movie, so you know it's probably going to get resolved soon.
Yeah, I was surprised how quickly it gets resolved.
They only had 12 minutes left.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just her being like, it's fine.
Yep, pretty much.
I love it. Like a part of the or do you? I'll wait till we get to the poem. Sorry.
Yeah, and then it's just like the morning after, Bianca is going sailing with Joe.
Nope.
It seems like the sisters are cool now. Julia Stiles is probably shouldn't be. Julia Stiles is upset, but has a nice moment with her dad.
Yes, I like that. She should go no contact with her sister at this point, I think.
Did she ever find out that her sister was part of it?
I guess she does not.
No, I don't think she
She doesn't find out him or her or Cameron are part of it, and they don't care to tell her.
Yeah, he very cleverly, he kept his hands clean.
Seems like it. Yeah.
The perfect little American
Fucked
psycho he was.
Up movie.
Yeah.
Fucked up.
And then we're into the other very famous scene from this movie, the poetry reading. And this is why the movie is called 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes.
She reads a poem. The 10th thing is she hates how she doesn't hate him. Not even
I
a
like
little.
how one of the things
Not
was like,
even at
I
all.
hate that you didn't call. I'd be like, in my defense, I'm Monster, and I assumed you'd be traumatized further by that call.
It's weird that I should have.
Yeah, like it's weirder that you expected me to.
Well, I mean,
I hate that you expected me to.
it fits the meter that she's in, but maybe she just more like, why didn't you reach out to try and even explain this?
Even explain. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. You didn't even like give me the closure of like what happened.
Yep. And then she's crying. I guess she improvs that she's crying there, and Stiles really nails this scene.
She does really good.
It's a lot of emotion.
Walks out to her car. He bought her a guitar.
Yep.
They sort of reconcile. He like starts to kiss her. And she's like, "You can't just buy me a guitar every time you mess up." He's like, "I know, but there's also bass guitars and tambourines and drum kits."
I
of
really
course,
like
there's,
that.
There's other band things I buy.
Yeah, and she's like trying to like protest a little bit, but he's just kissing her at this point.
The shrew has
Yep.
been tamed.
She's not consenting, but who cares?
And then Letters to Cleo's back again. They're playing
On the roof.
They're playing a cover of "I Want You to Want Me" by Cheap Trick. They're on the roof, and it's not like, if you haven't seen the movie, it's not like an office building roof. It's not like the school we went to. It's not like that roof. It is really high up there.
It's really high.
It's all roof.
It's really high up there, and it's not like, it doesn't seem to be roof access.
No.
So they have to film this part from a helicopter. Apparently it costs like $500,000 every time the helicopter was in the air.
Hell yeah.
It seems so unnecessary.
It is not needed.
Nice.
It must have been real scary. They were convinced to do the movie because the production company told them they'd get a free trip to LA out of it. And they were like, we did not know we'd be performing on a roof.
That's really funny. So they probably like flew them up there if there was no roof access.
I have no fucking idea how they got up there. Maybe there is like, but it's not like an office building that has sort of, the equivalent of
Oh, like
just
maybe
like
there's
a
like
door and stuff. It
there's like
looks
a
it's
fire
just a
escape
roof.
up there or something.
Yeah, there's probably has to be like
Oh,
like a utility entrance or something, or a hatch.
I can see that.
But yeah,
Why is that scene important?
It is not
It's the credits.
$500,000 important.
Yeah, and
The credits.
They flew them out. Like there was this whole like.
people remember it, I guess.
It is. It stuck out, I guess. Yeah.
Yep, it's that yellow 90s font that's happening, and Then we got bloopers over the credits, and I gotta say, none of them are funny. I've been defending this movie a lot. I don't consider what happens after the end credits start to be part of the movie in my judgment of it. Found all these bloopers pretty bad.
Yes.
They were mostly teenagers doing things that they thought was funny. That's not funny.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's like fine, but it was cringy when the adults were involved.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll agree with that. But I was just happy to see bloopers because it gave me some serious nostalgia. I was like, bloopers, movies used to have these.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so
She just forgives him. He doesn't even have to say anything.
No.
She just doesn't care, doesn't mind.
By the time she wrote the poem.
Yeah.
yeah, she wants what she wants, you know? And she shouldn't let society tell her she doesn't deserve what she wants.
Yeah.
Even in like the negative sense. Like she shouldn't let society tell her that she deserves more.
Yeah.
Don't ever let anyone tell you deserve better than this guy lying to you.
Both sides.
Yeah.
How would you? So I have a couple leading questions, but first specific to this movie, how would you react in this situation? Put yourself in Kat's shoes.
Poorly.
Poorly.
Yeah.
You know, full no contact. Just like, do not talk to me.
I'd
Yeah.
probably try to fight him. Honestly, I'd beat the shit out of him for sure.
Out of Heath Ledger?
Yeah.
He's pretty big.
Yeah. I just hope he wouldn't fight back.
Yeah, in this situation, you're a teen girl.
I'm a teen girl. Yeah, I'd probably at least kick to the groin. Minimum.
He wouldn't fight back from that.
I don't
He'd
think
probably
so.
be like, I deserve this.
Right? You gotta at least a kick to the groin.
Yeah, I'm way too forgiving. I'd get over it. I'm Julia Stiles. I'm writing a poem about how it was my fault.
Yeah, I don't even think it's like she doesn't necessarily even like forgive him though, and he doesn't necessarily apologize.
Yeah,
And
that's the weird part.
She's just kind of like,
I really like
whatever.
you still.
I don't mind that it was
kind
fake.
of like, I don't mind. I think it's more just in the positive spin, I guess, is that she's just like so self-possessed that she's like, whatever, I'm not going to let this bother me. And she like believes that he's genuine about his feelings for her. So
I was gonna say, like, my take on it is kind of a little bit of like, I don't really care the circumstances of how things start. I kind of care more about how I feel currently.
yeah,
So it would depend on how attached I already was. Because, like, I don't know, there's a lot of not ideal ways relationships start. This one was pretty peak not ideal, but it's just like,
I think it's harder because I'm looking at the view from like behind the scenes, where I'm like, you know, about the stalking and like the intel gathering and how much of it was fake.
yeah,
Where it's not just like, oh, they like someone paid him to take me on a date and like it blossomed from there kind of thing.
that's fair.
I know that like he was faking a lot of things and like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
yeah, for sure. But he doesn't necessarily apologize, but he does say like, he does give sort of context. It started like that, but then I fell for her or whatever. And so he is returning some of that vulnerability.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's more just that she's just like, whatever, I'm not going to let that stop me from being told what I deserve.
So my biggest thing, and this is why I was asked the question of like, do you think there was a point where it would be okay? Is for me, if they came clean before I found out, that would be a mark of like how much I could trust them.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that would have been better.
So
At a point where he feels like he's falling for her and like initially refusing an amount of money or whatever is probably the time that he needs to like
to
make
tell
a point to take her side.
because it's at this point, it's like, how do I believe that this is real now? Like,
I think especially where she finds out at the prom, I feel like I'd only be able to see red, especially after he just gaslit her so hard about it.
it is fair. Yeah.
Yes, after she explicitly was like, it's weird how pushy you're being about the prom.
That's like the worst part is like, this was like it felt like very recently, like that he was, you know what I mean? Very much motivated by money.
Yeah. It didn't feel like more than a week.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, and I guess she's also kind of thinking maybe like, you know,
Well,
it's prom just happened and I already got into college across the country, so man, let's have a fun summer. Take off.
Fair. No, Heath Ledger's also going to Sarah Lawrence.
Yes.
Maybe. So curious what you think. So I think this has like a kind of tough job grappling with the, I guess you'd say, inherent misogyny of the source material. And it does try to modernize and make some stuff more fun, but I think it's just a tough job. But I feel like you guys still have some queasiness about parts of this movie.
I was whelmed.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't hold up as well as I was hoping it would.
I think Ray was right. I think we saw it too late.
Yeah, could be. It still resonates with people all these years later. And I think maybe they just watched it at the time when they were also a teenager or a kid or whatever. Or maybe if they even saw it in college. But yeah, I don't know. Heath Ledger's very charming.
They have good
He's
chemistry.
very charming.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry?
They have good chemistry, so
Yeah.
They do. I'll agree for sure.
I bet you I could change their opinions by just changing the soundtrack from upbeat songs to horror movie songs, and they'd have an entirely different perspective of the movie.
Maybe. A lot of the dialogue's still pretty funny, though, and it is very quotable.
For sure.
A lot of quotes. And I do have one question that I'm going to ask every time. I considered giving you time to think about it by like asking at the beginning, so you had, you could get your thoughts together. But I didn't, so don't think too hard about it. But if someone was to make a movie about your life in high school, what would the source material be? What would it be adapted from to fit your life?
Oh, Taming of the Shrew.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
This happened to me.
And it doesn't have to be like classic lit or Shakespeare. It can be like,
Oh, God.
like an already existing movie, or just like a story, or just some book, or
I've
one of
read,
the
like-
57 Animorphs books.
I was immediately thinking the Animorphs. I've read like 8 books in my life.
Yeah, but you've heard of stories. The concept.
Like the one with the magic beans, or like
Yeah. So you'd go Jack and the Beanstalk? That was your experience in high school?
I don't know. My experience in high school is so boring. They don't have a lot of really boring books, do they? Maybe like
The dictionary.
I had that math book that was so boring.
Is there a book about starting fires a bunch?
Firestarter.
Firestarter by Stephen King.
Yeah, there we go. Firestarter.
From the mind of Stephen King. Was that a book first or just a movie?
I don't know.
We'll count it.
Okay.
Stephen King's Firestarter.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
we
is
could-
really 8th grade summer. but
Yeah. A
whatever.
young Drew Barrymore, a young Robbie, same deal.
Hell yeah. Drew Robbie Moore.
Yep. We're at that point of the night.
I got nothing.
Okay.
Battle Royale.
No.
No real.
It's very similar.
I immediately want to pick a Stephen King book though. Now that Robbie picked
I know I'm
one.
thinking Carrie.
Yeah. Oh God. Cujo.
Cujo, yeah.
It's like The Mist.
Just think only Stephen King books.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be Stephen King.
It
It
has to
might be like a modern update of Salem's Lot, just because there is like a nerdy kid in there. So I guess that could be me.
It's kind of like Pet Cemetery meets Air Bud.
God.
Oh no.
In a freezer.
There's no rule in the rule book that says a zombie dog can't play basketball.
What about biting the other players? Yeah, okay, that's definitely a vowel.
Ray, you have any picks for what would be adapted to be about your life in high school?
I want to say Mean Girls, but like one of the like people in the background that nothing's really happening with.
Okay, sure.
So I'm just kind of
remember that time that girl
observing
got
like
hit by
all
that
of the
bus?
drama that's happening.
Yeah, you would have been like on the bus that
Yeah.
hits Regina George. Yeah,
Oh,
something
that'd be
like
sick.
that. Yeah, mine would be Dune.
Oh, yes, the Blessed Mother.
I'm gonna ask this every episode. I gotta have 4. So, all right, let's get to ratings. Every week, I'll take what we say here and put it on our letterbox. Late to the movies on letterbox.com. You can give this one a rating on a scale of 0.5 to 5, any scale of your choosing, except for stars. Who's got one locked and loaded?
3.5 holy French books.
Holy. Huh.
Solid.
I'll do 2.5 weird pregnancy belly suits.
Nice.
I like it. I like it.
I'm gonna do 2.5 sold livers out of 5.
Nice. 3.5 grand musical romantic gestures that get you chased by security guards.
Nice.
Out of 5. All right, guys. Well, thanks for being on. We had Ray, Robbie, and Greg.
See ya.
Yeah.
Adios.
You can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbeans, Google Podcast, iTunes. That was another one. Yeah. You can email Noah at late2themovies@gmail.com. You can go on Instagram, late2themovies_podcast. You can go to the website, late2themovies.fireside.fm. I don't know what else.
Join us next week where we find out what other children are also Mario Lopez.
I think it's late to the movies pod.fireside.fm, but Google it. Next week is going to either be Clueless or She's the Man. I think Channing Tatum's in She's the Man, but it could be Mario Lopez. It would have been like in his 40s at the time.
She's the Mario Lopez.
I just picture you as the the meme of the like, is this the guy pointing at the butterfly?
Is this Mario
Is this
Lopez?
child Mario Lopez?
Is this AC Slater from Saved by the Bell? All right, thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.